Let's take you back to our top story. President Jacob Zuma is set to apply for an interdict which could block a report on state capture. This application comes just a day before Ndletyana is set to leave office. We talk now to Professor Mcebisi Ndletyana, who is a politics professor at the University of Johannesburg, joining us via Skype. Prof, good evening to you and welcome. There's a great deal of suspicion, panic and concern over this latest development. Are you critical?
Yes, I am quite critical. And also curious to find out what is it that Jacob Zuma does not want us to find out. But I'm not surprised by this interdict because there were signs that he was highly uncomfortable with the content of the report. He also, at some point, he even wanted to interview witnesses, which indicated that there was an attempt to suppress or intimidate witnesses. So for me, this interdict is pretty much a continuation of what he had started doing. And I'm even more curious now to see what is in the report.
The timing of this, of course, is something that's crucial to these developments, and we'll see what happens insofar as how the Public Protector's Office is going to treat this. But what is your thinking around the reasons why the President is taking this particular route? And some legal analysts have said that, you know, this particular case and the findings that the Public Protector's Office would make would be more dangerous and more explosive for the President than anything that's been done before. It doesn't relate to administrative issues, but this is the one case that relates to criminal issues, and potentially you could be facing some serious charges.
Well, I mean, obviously it does. There are serious implications because what the president is alleged to have done is allowing third parties to influence his decision-making. Remember, he's the ultimate authority. He's the president. He's supposed to be the final decision-maker. But in this case, we have heard that the Gupta family and other interests have been influencing or rather, in fact, even instructing him on what decisions to take. So that means he has surrendered executive authority to someone else outside of the executive. That itself is a criminal offense. It's a serious offense. So I'm not surprised, therefore, that he would want to suppress this evidence. I'm not sure what the law says about him interviewing witnesses, but logically speaking, I think that would be improper because you have here subordinates who have given evidence to Ndletyana, and should the president know who they are, quite possibly they could be victimized. So, I mean, legal scholars will comment on this, but logically speaking, and in terms of getting to the truth, I don't think it would be proper for the president to interview his witnesses because quite possibly they could be intimidated and possibly they might suffer some repercussions because I mean we know that the president is quite fearful of what is contained there, and quite lately we can see that he's on a backlash. He's hitting back and he might hit whoever provides damaging evidence against him.
Tomorrow, of course, and there's, there are several legal opinions on this one, but we heard from the Public Protector's Office, they're saying we cannot say that she can't release it. I can safely inform you, this is the Public Protector's Office saying that she's now consulting her lawyers, and based on what they tell her, she'll decide what to do next. But in the gap between the intention to procure an interdict and tomorrow, conceivably, she could potentially be within her rights to go ahead and release this report anyway.
My layman understanding of the law is that you can only withdraw if there's an interdict that has been secured. In this case, there's an intention to apply, and apparently it will be heard on Tuesday. This is quite strange. If this was an urgent application, I mean, we've heard of cases where magistrates or judges are woken up at 1 or 12 o'clock, midnight, especially if something is urgent. So I don't understand in this case an issue that affects national interest would have to wait for the entire weekend and only find out on Tuesday. It's absurd, right? I mean, this thing is urgent, and if there's any merit in Ndletyana not releasing her report, then we should know immediately.
What else do you make, Prof. Ndletyana, about the timing of all of this, insofar as the President, according to the Public Protector, having had months to come back to express his reservations, to make himself heard, now choosing the eve of her exit to do so, and also the fact, and reading it together with what Advocate Mcebisi has said about issues around state capture perhaps not being as high on her priority list as issues of service delivery?
Well, I mean, I'm not surprised by this tactic. It's a familiar tactic that Jacob Zuma has employed in the past, delaying, obfuscating, and ultimately, because he's on the wrong side of the law, he does have to answer, as he did with the Nkandla saga. So ultimately, he will have to answer, but I am a bit perturbed that he would insist that the new public protector be the one who carries through this probe. It doesn't augur well, I'm afraid, for the new person coming in, because it seems to suggest that Jacob Zuma thinks she will treat him better than Thuli Madonsela has been able to so far. I'm not sure if we can interpret Mcebisi's comments to mean that she will not prioritize this probe. I think she's under immense pressure to do whatever she can. And probably I think what Thuli wants to do is to give us what she's already found out and highlight as well questions that need further probing. In that way, we will know what is there and expect her successor to do as expected. I think it's a good tactic. I have no reason to doubt Mcebisi's credentials. I'm sure she's a dedicated public servant. She's a patriot. She will do what is good for the Republic. But again, Thuli has to do her job. Her last day is tomorrow, so she's within her right to insist that she does a perfect job as she's been doing all along.
Well, tomorrow is certainly another big day on our political and legal calendar. Prof. Mcebisi Ndletyana, thank you for your time. We appreciate it so much, exploring the implications of this potential interdict application.